It's so adorable. Look how excited he is. I love that. I love stuff like that. What's going on, YouTube? I got another fun one for you today. After a couple weeks of playtesting and experimenting, I'm finally ready to present to you my comprehensive Seer guide for Season 10 of Apex Legends. Lil Nas Apex sounded scary at first, but he's proven to be one of the, shall we say, more unique legends in the game. At any rate, I've had a lot of fun with him, and I'm here to bring you all the information that you need to get the most out of this new legend. As always, if you enjoyed this content or you learned something, let me know down below in the comments. Leave the video a like, share it with a friend, and consider subscribing to the channel. We just hit 500 subs the other day. The support lately has been tremendous. I can't thank you guys enough. Let's keep that momentum going. But without further ado, I'm Brad from Last Call Gaming. Let's tap into it. So a quick disclaimer before we get started. At the time of this recording, Seer has several unspecified nerfs scheduled for the coming days. These will most likely not affect his core playstyle, so this guide should remain valid. But should things change dramatically, I will update the guide accordingly. So let's get started. Seer is a very unique and aggressive addition to the cast of Legends. His kit allows him and his team to be very mobile and take engagements on their terms. He is not a slow-paced character by any measure, so if your goal with Apex Legends is to take fights and see as much action as possible, he's definitely a legend you should familiarize yourself with. Let's take a look at his kit. Seer is the newest addition to the Recon Legends, meaning he can scan beacons to give your team the next ring location and plan your rotations accordingly. This pairs well with his passive, Heartseeker, which is a constant scan that can help Seeker track nearby enemies while aimed down sights. Heartseeker has a range of 75 meters, which is just slightly less than a Bloodhound scan, and works via a heads-up display while ADS'd. Outside of 75 meters, enemies within Seer's field of view are marked with green rectangles indicating their rough direction. Within 75 meters, these rectangles are traded out for waveform indicators on the outside of the circle of your HUD. The bigger the waveforms get and the closer to 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock they get on the circle, the more over top of an enemy you are. When the center of your HUD changes color, it means you are over top of an enemy and within the range and hitbox of your tactical focus of attention, which we will cover in a minute. Another interesting aspect of Heartseeker is that there's an audible component to the ability. You can hear the heartbeats as well as seeing a visual representation on your HUD. The louder they get, the closer you are, and the faster the heartbeat, the weaker the enemy is. In the heat of battle, this is hard to notice, but it can come in handy. While playing as Seer, you'll want to have your head on a swivel and be ADSing a lot to get the full value of the information he can gather. You are able to ADS without a weapon as Seer, but this will slow down your movement significantly. However, if you hold your tactical, you'll be able to move freely while getting the full benefit of your passive. Just cancel your tactical if you're not ready to use it. Heartseeker is easily the strongest passive in the game and enables your team to choose engagements that you take, hunt down rats, and even get an early warning on third parties. For this reason, Seer isn't necessarily a must pick, but he's a strong choice for ranked play and aggressive playstyles. Seer's tactical ability, focus of attention, is the more skillful aspect of his kit. When activated, Seer fires a tunnel of micro-drones that produce a scanning pulse after about a second. The scan has a reach of 75 meters, and if it hits an enemy, it will reveal them for 8 seconds, interrupt their healing, abilities, and revives briefly, and deal 10 damage. At the time of this recording, focus of attention also produces a brief flashbang effect, but the devs have confirmed this will be removed completely as part of the forthcoming nerfs. For as many things as his tactical does, it is very timing based and is relatively easy to miss. Properly timed scans can completely disrupt a team that is recovering from a fight, giving you an opening to clean up. It can also prevent an enemy team from escaping if they're trying to fly out with a Valkyrie ultimate or rotate with a Horizon lift. A well-timed scan can also give you the upper hand when your team is being third-partied. Apart from knowing where they're coming from, the brief disorientation can deter a team from full pushing if they know they've been spotted. With focus of attention being on a 30-second cooldown at the time of this recording, you'll want to have it ready as often as possible, making Seer a solid candidate for the gold helmet on your team. Now let's cover his ultimate, Exhibit. When activated, Seer throws his heart chamber, which releases hundreds of nanodrones, creating a large dome. Any enemies inside the dome who are moving quickly or firing a weapon are then marked with a box showing their location, and their footsteps are highlighted as they move. A tracker will also be displayed on your HUD, telling you the number of enemies detected within the dome. Any enemies who are grappling or flying through the air will not be tracked, and stationary or crouched enemies can avoid the scan altogether. So using your passive in conjunction with your ultimate will be very important. Well-placed exhibits can be extremely useful for fights in and around buildings by highlighting enemies on multiple floors. You'll need to be conscious of the placement, however, because his heart container can take damage and be destroyed. Exhibit is on a 90-second cooldown at the time of this recording, making it one of the fastest charging ultimates in the game, and meaning you'll likely have it ready for most team fights, so use it liberally. Now that we've gone over Seer's abilities, let's talk playstyle. As I said earlier, Seer is an extremely aggressive legend and gives your team the ability to go searching for fights to engage on your own terms. This is a strong position to have in battle royales and can set you up for a lot of success. Seer would be a very good pick for anyone who considers themselves an in-game leader or IGL, because having control of the majority of the intel allows you to communicate effective movements, rotations, and callouts to the rest of your team. Seer should also be the person leading the charge during the majority of rotations because of his ability to know when there are enemies nearby. This can prevent your team from being ambushed while rotating. As mentioned before, you should be checking the area around you frequently as Seer. His abilities don't really leave you with a ton of downtime early to mid-game because you will need to make sure your team isn't about to get thirded or that you're moving into a trap. As you play, you will want to find ways of incorporating his passive into your movement to maximize his value and efficiency. So now let's talk about some strong team comps to run with Seer. One of the major effects Seer has had on the season so far is how much he has shaken up the meta. His existence brought a lot of other team compositions back into viability, and this means he's not a must pick in order to win. However, if you do choose to run him, there are a number of very strong compositions that can maximize his value. I'll talk about a few of those here. For the more aggressive players, a combination of Seer, Bloodhound, and Octane can be very effective for rotating quickly and hunting down teams. Bloodhound and Seer players who are particularly in sync with each other can stagger their abilities to get as much intel as possible and constantly have eyes over the fight. Adding Octane to the comp allows this team to either send on teams as they track them or escape quickly if they find themselves pinched. A slightly slower but equally viable comp could be Seer, Gibby, and Octane or Horizon. Gibby is still strong in the current state of the game, and pairing him with Seer gives your team a strong anchor. The addition of Dome allows you the option to play a little bit more passively, and Gibby's ultimate can be used to force teams off high ground after Seer has located them. Octane and Horizon allow for faster rotations, or the quick taking of high ground depending on the scenario. Finally, for the least aggressive but more flexible option, we have Seer, Wraith, and Wattson. This comp gives your team the ability to take strong defensive holds in conjunction with Seer's intel gathering to keep your team constantly in control of your situation. Wraith takes the role of entry fragger and rotation leader in this case, making the majority of your rotations smaller, but potentially more meaningful. These are not all of the viable comps by any means, and I'd be interested to hear what other ones you guys are running down in the comments. This would not be a full guide without briefly talking about how to counter Seer. The easiest way to counter him is honestly with another Seer. But what if you don't want to play Seer in your comp? Seer's primary drawback is that he has no movement capabilities to allow him to escape danger should he get caught out. Most Seer players will throw out a scan the second they sense danger, so the easiest way to counter Seer is to bait his scan, ideally avoiding it, and use the 30-second window you have to isolate him and take him out of the fight. It sounds like a lot to accomplish in 30 seconds, but that is an eternity in Apex Legends during a team fight. Solid legend choices to counter Seer include Bloodhound, Octane, Crypto, and Valkyrie, to name a few. Bloodhound and Crypto are particularly strong here because of their counter scan potential, so keep that in mind. In summary, Seer is an extremely powerful addition to the cast. He brings with him a brand new way to play the game and new learning curves. There is a ton of value in his kit, and his abilities interact in such a unique way that he's incredibly rewarding to play. I highly recommend picking him up if you haven't already. And so that is it. The comprehensive Seer guide to get you started, get you off the ground with the new legend this season. Was this guide helpful for you? Did you learn something? I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to leave it a like and suggest it to a friend, and consider subscribing to the channel. I have new videos out every week, and if you want to interact with me personally, come drop by my stream. I'm live right here on YouTube every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and I'd like to think I'm pretty funny. Until that time, however, thank you so very, very much for watching, and until next time, cheers.